Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Leslie Timble and today's topic piggybacks on a recent episode I did on RX Muscles Iron Therapy with Dave Palumbo. Our recent guest was Xavier Wills and he was reporting feeling depressed and lately he's been questioning the meaning of life. Now while I did begin to talk about that, I wanted to do a more full explanation here. Now, there are many reasons for having depression. I'm only going to be addressing one aspect of it, so it's certainly not complete, but it just gives you a starting point. As far as the meaning of life, we're going to dive into that because a lot of times we can feel lost and feel down if we don't have direction in our life. And a lot of that lack of direction has to do with what is the purpose of our lives. So let me talk a little bit about the meaning of life. So keep in mind, what is the meaning of life? So I'm going to try to do this in a shorter time span. So the meaning of life is basically the belief that we exist for a purpose. Now that purpose initially can be, what we want to achieve as far as our goals, and that's fine, but usually it has a deeper meaning behind it. And that deeper meaning usually is connected with how can we help other people? So if we're at a point in our lives where it's like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm just going through the normal routines of life, the mundane routines. I get up, I get dressed, I, go to work, I clean the house, get groceries, go to the gym. All that kind of stuff is great, but that doesn't really fulfill a meaning in life. It's a deeper purpose. So let's dive into that a little bit more deeper because not everyone knows their purpose in life. And what I do want to say is the caveat is that whatever your purpose of life is, it can change over time. So whatever your purpose of life is, let's say in your 20s, it could change in your 30s and 40s and 50s and so on. And that's okay for it to be fluid as you grow as a person. So just keep that in mind. Now, for people who don't have that meaning of life, so to answer questions such as, who am I? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? I came across this guy named Mark Manson who came up with 7 really interesting questions to help you answer that question. Now, just answering these 7 questions or any of these questions may not necessarily answer the question for you. It's a starting point. So I want to give you guys a starting point. And if going through these 7 questions, you're not still able to come to that conclusion of what the answer of your life would be or don't have that direction, shoot me a comment below and we can absolutely further discuss it, whether on this podcast, as well as I will be doing some live Instagrams in the actually near future. So we'll keep that in mind. So let me dive into these 7 questions. The first question is, what type of shit sandwich are you prepared to eat? So what do I mean by that? No matter what you choose in life, there's going to be some kind of unpleasantness about it. That's the shit. So it's important to find out if you're going to have to go through this process anyway, and there's going to be unpleasant stuff, there has to be a motivating drive to get through it, whether it be some type of sacrifice, some type of inconveniences, stuff that you really don't like about the job or the direction that you're going, but it makes it worthwhile to complete. So that's really important to find. So if you're able to find a niche as far as what that sticking point could be that maybe not a lot of people are part of, well, that's just the olive on top of your ship sandwich. And again, this is just something to think about. Again, it's something to realize that not everything is rainbows and unicorns. There's going to be some other stuff in there, and it's about grinning and bearing through that. So just being realistic about your expectations of what your meaning of life will be is the big piece in that first part. Number 2 question that Mark asks would be, what is true about you today that would make your 8-year-old self cry? So when you think about, you have your adult self and you have your 8-year-old self. So if the 8-year-old self, and you think back, okay, when I was 8, what kind of things did I do that I like doing? And maybe I like to draw, maybe I like to write. So as an 8-year-old, the 8-year-old might say to the adult version, saying, how come you don't draw anymore? How come you don't write anymore? And the adult might be saying, well, because no one's going to read it, or people aren't going to like it, or they're going to tear it apart. And that's going to make the 8-year-old cry, because it's like, what do you mean? You can't still draw, and you can't write. I still want to write. What's the difference? 8-year-olds just want to have fun. And a lot of times we forget how to have fun. Why? A big piece is social media. So we care, or we have a tendency to care what other people think, whether it's be likes, dislikes, whether it's trolls, whether it's, some type of critiques. Kids, they just do. They just want to have fun. And sometimes as adults, we forget to have that fun and block out that noise. So it's being open to constructive feedback, but anything that's destructive, keep it away. Keep it away. Learn how to keep it away. And if you're having struggles with that, then certainly, shoot me a comment below and we can actually further talk about that as well. So think about what kids used to do is that they would play and just be absorbed in the play. So it's trying to find out, what did I do as an 8-year-old that I really like to do that maybe I could do again? That could potentially be a purpose in your life. Now, is it going to solve the world's problems? Maybe, maybe not. But could it contribute in some way to get you down the road to the next chain in the link of how to get there? It could. So again, something to consider. A third question that Mark was bringing up was, what makes you forget to eat and poop? So as an example, so I don't know if you've ever been so busy that time just flies. And before you know it, you've missed a meal, or, it was a lot longer that you were doing a particular activity than you were planning for, whether it's work related. Actually, let's look more personally. Games, video games, perfect example. So with video games, it's very easy to get involved in it, and before you know it, half the day's gone by, or it can go by. So that is something that it's what Mark refers to, is you don't look at the video game itself and saying, hey, maybe that's my future. I mean, it could be, but for most of us, when we play a video game, there's something called, what is the cognitive principle behind the video game that we enjoyed. So what do I mean by that? In a video game, usually when we begin a new one, we suck at it. Usually, we suck at it. So how do we get better? We keep playing it over and over and again. And then we learn, we make mistakes, we learn, we do better. At one point, we master the game. We get really good at it. And either we do it again, do a different level, do a different game. We keep going. So the cognitive principle is improvement. And that might be a theme that needs to be incorporated in your life, as far as there's a piece that needs, as far as improvement, as far as what you can contribute to society. And again, that can be different for different people. Again, this is just one piece of the puzzle. Another question is, how can you embarrass yourself? Now, who wants to embarrass themselves, really? But when we think about it, in order to be good at something, we usually suck at it in the beginning. So I'll use myself as an example. YouTube, I'm no expert on YouTube, as you see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn with every episode that I do and make a little improvement along the way. And certainly I'm open to feedback to you guys if you have any feedback on how I can improve my YouTube channel. I'm very open for that. But as far as trying to get better with it, sometimes you have to embrace to be embarrassed so it doesn't stop you from doing what you want to do. For me, I want to get a message out to a lot of people and reach people in a positive way. And in order to get that audience, that's where the social media piece comes in for me. I'm not really big on social media. I'd prefer to stay away from it. But in order to get my message across to as many people as possible, I want to use that as a vehicle to reach you guys and also get your feedback so I can give you the content that you guys are really interested in that would benefit you the most. So that is the purpose of my channel. So that means I have to embarrass myself on YouTube or RX Muscles Iron Therapy, so be it. Now, another question or to ask yourself is, how are you going to save the world? Now, you may not be able to save the world, but can you do a little piece of the world? Now, I don't know if you've turned on the news lately, but the world is full of problems. Pick one. Just one. one that you can identify with or can relate to, or your heart goes out to, something that you connect with. Say, how can I help in that respect? You might be saying, well, I'm only one person. Exactly, that's one more person on that particular cause, because I'll tell you right now, you won't be the only one. We're strong when we're united, and trust me, they're going to be united with some other people in that interest. It's finding what's that interest for you. So another question that Mark brought up is, if you had a gun to your head and you had to leave your house every day, all day, let's pretend, for the sake of argument, there was no such thing as websites, no such thing as Google, social media, anything like that. What would you do? Do you know? It puts into question what is important to you. Now, some people might be like, I don't know. If there was no such thing as the internet, I don't know. Okay, that might be something to look at. Because I think it's really important that, through trial and error, we get to learn what we like, what inspires us. And sometimes we need to get away from the routines, because our routines keep our mind very busy, and we need to open up our mind. So when we're around electronics all the time, it's hard to open up our minds. Now, I'm not saying there's not a purpose for the internet. I think there's a lot of motivational stuff that's out there that's great. But sometimes we need to be alone in our thoughts, but in an open mind environment, not in a critical environment, because we get a lot of flowing of ideas that way. So it's about learning to try different maybe kind of activities and see, hey, what resonates with me, what doesn't resonate with me. Again, trial and error. Now, the last question Mark brought up was, if you were going to die 1 year from today, how would you want to be remembered? Now, most of us don't like to think about death because it's not happy. It's not a happy feeling. It's very morbid. But to answer that question actually has an advantage, because it puts things into perspective of what is really important to us and what should be important. What is our legacy? How do we want to be remembered? And most importantly, once we figure that out, what can I do today to start taking steps to get there? You might be saying, well, I haven't even taken a step yet. Okay, how about one small step? What would that look like? Let's say you don't know what your legacy is going to be. That's what these questions are for, is to help you form an idea of what that could be. And a lot of it will be trial and error. You won't know, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. So again, for the purposes of this particular episode, I'm not going to a full detail about the meaning of life. I'm just going to give you a starting point, because I want to make sure I have your attention and give you something to think about. Now, if there are other questions, like I said, that you have, I'm more than happy to answer them. Either we can do a live, or I can answer them in a future podcast. But I hope that will help you guys begin to think about what is the meaning of your life, and that can give you some tools. Again, these are just some tools, not all the tools, to get you down the right path. And of course, if you do want to contact me directly, feel free to do so. You can message me, let's say on Instagram. My Instagram handle is LesleyT_mental_iron. So LESLEYT_mental_iron. Send me a message. Or you can contact me on my cell, 416-805-6155. Thanks so much, guys. And I look forward to continue giving you content. If you have any ideas for future ideas for my postings, feel free to post below. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell. Have a great day, guys. Bye for now.